Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. Good evening. I am your host, Rabbi David Spinrad. Welcome to episode 27, like Proust's Madeleine. Now I'm laughing because that is like the most bougie, douchey title for an episode about sports cards and pop culture and the 1984 All-Star Game. But let me tell you right off the top, what redeems episode 27's title, like Proust's Madeleine, is I've never read a word of Marcel Proust. I have no idea what the book is I'm referencing, but I do know there is an iconic bit of imagery where the protagonist in whatever story I'm talking about at the beginning has a Madeleine, takes a bite of a Madeleine cookie, a little French cookie somewhere between a cookie and a small pastry, and this bite of a cookie sends our protagonist on a long journey of nostalgia and remembrance into his past. That's all I know, but we're going to roll with it. Episode 27, like Proust's Madeleine. All right. As we begin, I want to give a shout out to my long-time listener and lifetime brother, the Shark from Las Vegas, who, following up on my comment around the best, most delicious part of the summer is the beginning of summer when you're in school, June, and you're on summer vacation. I likened it to a Fratelli's Deli sub on a sourdough roll, and he cuts it like 60%, 40%, eat the smaller bite, and then you still have that bigger 60%. You're like, oh, I'm a double winner, yummy sandwich, and the best part's yet to come. The Shark from Las Vegas, he said, oh, I like that. I like this one better, he said. He said that June is the Friday of the summer weekend. Excellent, Sharky. So literary. Yes, June is the Friday of the summer weekend. Oh man, July is Saturday, the fatness, the sweetness. August, still hot, still not a Monday. But you can see a leaf fall, a little tinge of cool, just tickling you, just a tiny bit. It's still hot. It's August hot, but it's like the food, the foliage is starting to get a little, like a tiny bit like pungent. And then it starts to all fall apart. Good one, Sharky. Love you. All right, back to the game. We are one away in the top half of the second inning for the American League. Up steps George Brett. When you think about the most iconic players from the 1980s, it's George Brett all the way. A guy who is a 13-time All-Star. When he made the Hall of Fame, he did so on his first ballot, over 98% of the vote, I believe. George Brett is the only player in the history of Major League Baseball to win a batting title in 3 decades. George Brett won the American League batting title in 1976. He won the American League batting title in 1980 when he flirted with 400. And if you were there, you remember, like, that was exciting. Brett chasing 400, man. Oh my God. It wasn't that many years earlier than Rodney Carew chased 400, but I was a little young. It was 77. So I knew about it, but I don't remember it like I remember Brett had hamstring problems. I don't even know if he had like 500 at-bats on the year, but man, every one of them was so exciting. Finally settled in at 390, I believe. And then he wins his third batting title in 1990. George Brett, batting titles in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Steps in against Charlie Lee. Brett, a longtime disciple of hitting guru Charlie Lau, has that Lau style stance, right? He's got the leg back. Remember Brett almost has his front leg all the way straight, deep back-legged crouch. Charlie Lau did make the major leagues, but he really made his name as a batting coach for Kansas City, for the Yankees, and for the Chicago White Sox. His greatest disciple, of course, George Brett. Did you know Charlie Lau also made an appearance as Charlie Lau in Max Dugan Returns, 1983, written by Neil Simon, starring Marsha Mason, Donald Sutherland, and one of my personal favorites, Jason Robards as Max Dugan. Who else is in that cast, you ask? Well, none other than Mr. Matthew Broderick, making his big screen debut. Matthew Broderick's first movie, Max Dugan Returns, 1983. Although his breakout movie is, of course, War Games. Shall we play a game? That comes out a little bit later, also in 1983. And listen, I could do a dissertation on Ferris Bueller's A Day Off. All right, so Charlie Lau appears as himself in Max Dugan Returns, and just because I'm not sitting here in the basement all by myself, I have photo evidence. Let's take a look. There it is on the screen. You've got a young Matthew Broderick, awfully bucktooth at that age, and with his arm around him is none other than Charlie Lau. Both of them are wearing those early 80s beautiful White Sox uniforms. Definitely one of the most iconic uniforms of the 1980s Chicago White Sox. Charlie Lau and Matthew Broderick. Max Dugan Returns. Let's get a shout out for Jason Robards. He has a great soliloquy he gives when he's dying in bed in that movie Magnolia, Paul Thomas Anderson. He talks about regret, and hell yes, that's how you know you lived. Of course you have regrets. No regrets. That's not how life works. We have regrets, but that is what it means to be alive. All right. Charlie Lau, one final note, dies sadly quite young, dies at age 50, March of 1984. Charlie Lau, dead age 50, just a few mere months before this 84 All-Star game. What killed Charlie Lau? Colon cancer. So listen, let me get up on a little tiny, the size of like a hospital, or not a hospital, a hotel bar, a soap box, hotel soap box. I'm going to say, listen, since most of my audience is males over the age of 45, don't mess around. You got to go see it. You got to do it. You got to get that colonoscopy, friends. Listen, it's nobody's joy, but Charlie Lau, dead, age 50, colon cancer. Don't be like Charlie Lau. Brett stands in, and there's something about that left-handed swing that is different. Think about the greatest swings. Brett, beautiful stroke. Ken Griffey Jr., Ted Williams. I think probably Griffey and Williams have the most beautiful swings, but also Will Clark. Amazing. Gwynn's was different, but there was just something about his stroke. Oh, Donnie Ballgame. God, what a beautiful swing. Mattingly, Will Clark, Ted Williams, Ken Griffey Jr. These just syrupy, smooth swings. So I tried to figure out why left-handers have more beautiful swings, and I found three possibilities. One, and Will Clark used to say this, that he, as a lefty, lefties have an ability, so he says, to keep their bat in the ball plane slightly longer. So the swings are longer because by statistical majority there are more right-handed pitchers and you face more righties. So you can see that ball a little bit more, right? So you see their swing a little bit better, a little bit more, so it can go be a little bit longer and it looks more beautiful. There's plenty of left-handed pitchers they also face, and I feel like it's not that. That's Will Clark's opinion. Second, is that their hips. So a righty, when a righty swings, finishes his swing, he has to pivot, has to shift his hips and start running. But a lefty, when a lefty finishes his swing, his hips are already facing first base. He's already in the running position. There was this cool thing where you see the film in reverse, but these lefties are running to third, and their swings look gorgeous, right? Now, when they switch it and they show the righty from the left-hand side, it also doesn't look quite, it's not the left-handed swing. It's this hip shift that they have to make that we think it's the swing. It's their hips shifting instead of running more smoothly. All right. Brett aboard, beautiful swing, or Brett at the plate, beautiful swing or no. And Lee leaves a high fastball out over the plate. Like, you're a first-time All-Star. It's George freaking Brett over the plate, and George Brett unloads, crushes it to the deepest part of the ballpark, dead center field. Murphy goes back because he's a mensch, and even like half climbs the fence. It's dead center. It's 400 feet. I think Brett hits this thing 415, 418, just crushes this home run. Nice trot, nice crowd. Everybody's happy. Game tied at 1, top of the second, 1 out. That brings up Lance Parrish. Parrish, the all-star catcher, batting 7th from the Detroit Tigers. Lee falls behind him 3-0, perhaps a little ruffled by the homer. Comes back, gets a strike, gets a called strike. The count is now full at 3-2. Camera, for some reason, before a 3-2 pitch, cuts to the bullpen. Why? Because Fernando is warming up. It's Nando time, baby. Dun, 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 dun. The bullpen down the first base line, third base line, can't stick. They were super just outside of fair territory, like right by the line and right by the seats. So they're narrow in there. There's a mound and there's a little bench, like a little league bench. And you see behind Fernando when he's warming up, you see Al Holland, you see Dwight Gooden, you see the Loogie of Loogies, Jesse Orozco. There's a beautiful the golden hour, end of day sunlight, and it looks super heavenly. And then the camera cuts back. And before Lee can deliver the decisive payoff pitch, well, you see, underneath the overhang at Candlestick, there was a thing called a parabolic microphone that allowed to pick up sounds from a little bit farther away. My dad, when he was a vendor, used to stand underneath this overhang behind home plate and yell out to my grandma Sarah, like, what time he would be home after vending at the Stick. Many times, both before, during, and after my career as a vendor at Candlestick, I heard my friend and soul brother of soul brother, the golden voiced Alex Plachutin, all-time OG Hall of Fame vendor. Beautiful voice. You could hear him. If you knew him, you would exactly, this voice, Alex's voice, like butter. So this microphone, just as they're cutting back before the payoff pitch, you hear a fan yell, "Go Niners!" And like Proust's Madeleine, I am carried away on a wave of nostalgia. I go back in time because as exciting as it was for the Giants to host the All-Star game in '84, the Bay Area, nay, the NFL world, all bowed at the feet of the 49ers. They ruled the Bay. They ruled the country, the team of the 80s. When I hear Go Niners, I flash back, man. I'm thinking, oh my God, July 10th. It's a week. One short week until rookies. 2 days after that, veterans are going to report to Rockland, California, Placer County. Oh, man, it got hot there in the summertime. Niners are starting training camp, so I am, oh, my God, so into it. And I'm hungry as a fan, and you were hungry as a fan if you were there. And the Niners are ravenous coming into the 1984 season because 83 ended with a bitter, bitter pill. Oh, my God, after beating Detroit in the divisional round, only because really Eddie Murray, not the sweet swing and switch hitter from the Orioles, but the okay kicker from the Lions, misses a game winner. Niners win 23-21. I remember watching that game. It's New Year's Eve, 1983, and we're in Tahoe. Other families went skiing. We went gaming, friends. We like to gamble. My parents like to play cards. My parents like to hang out, have a good time, and so did we. We didn't play cards. We played in the arcade, and it was awesome. Arcades are great when you're a kid. It's like gambling practice ground. Someday we'll let you downstairs, but you gotta be here in the minor. Show me you can get to level 5 on Donkey Kong, young man. Then we'll give you those craps dice. Oh my God, good times. So Niners beat Detroit. They head to RFK, Golden Age, RFK, Redskins, Niners, Madden and Summerall in the booth. That Niner offense, that Redskin offense wasn't bad, but different vibe though. But hey, Joe Gibbs won his Super Bowls. Joe Gibbs, remember those Hogs, John Riggins. That team was tough. Went 14-2 in 83. Niners 10-6. They're on the road for the NFC Championship. Niners fall behind. They're down 21-0 headed into the fourth. And only because Mark Mosley missed like 3-4 field goals is it not even worse. That little tidbit's lost. Niners down 21-0 in the fourth. But how much time does Joe Montana need? Man, the guy's feet never touch the ground. Montana throws a touchdown pass to Mike Wilson, then throws a touchdown pass 76 yards to Freddie Solomon, number 88. Comes back with another touchdown to Mike Wilson. Sidebar, Mike Wilson, one of 6 49ers to win 4 Super Bowls. If you want to message me, leave me a comment. Tell me the other 5 49ers to win 4 Super Bowls. I'll send you a sticker. All right. Game tied 21-21. Skins have time, though, and they're driving. They're driving. And then about the 40-yard line, 45-yard line of the 49ers, Theismann throws up a pass that's way out of bounds, totally uncatchable. Monk's never going to get it. Art Monk, never going to get it. They call Wright for pass interference. Eric Wright, man, the cornerback, number 21, gets flagged. Big penalty against the Niners. Niners defense hanging in 3rd and 5. Way away from the play. They'll call Ronnie Lott for holding against Charlie Brown. Redskins get 4 downs. More importantly, they're already in field goal position. With those 4 downs, they can run down the clock. Mark Mosley, the last of the straight-on kickers. Remember that dude straight on? That was super weird. Game-winning field goal. Bitter taste in my mouth. Bitter taste in your mouth. Real bitter taste in the mouths of the 49ers. They come back in 84, and they are fired up. Great draft. Everyone talks about the 85 draft in which they got Jerry Rice and they got Charles Haley. But the 84 draft, they got Todd Shell, very productive linebacker out of BYU. They got John Frank, Jewish legend, superstar, every father's dream. My son plays in the NFL. No, really, Maury, I know he's Jewish. He's an NFL tight end. And then retires, I think, after 3 seasons, becomes a surgeon. Every mother's dream. My son, the surgeon. NFL. So the best part about John Frank is in the playoffs that year when they played the Giants. They crushed the Giants 21-10 at home. He gives LT a beating, this little rookie Jew boy from Ohio State. That's what I guess I'd be super racist. Like, what if I wasn't Jewish and I was going, Jew boy? I might be in trouble. But it's weird how you can say that when you're Jewish. Anyway, he gives LT a beating in the playoffs on national TV. And for that, he makes the All-Madden team. Oh, John Frank, you can look that up. Forget All-Pro. I would much rather be All-Madden. Ooh, All-Madden team. That's a good memory. All right, so the Niners come in. They're fired up. They've also got Guy McIntyre in the draft, Jeff Fuller in the draft. Bad pipe hitting, brother. Oh, my goodness. That team was tough. Finished number 1 in defense and number 2 in offense. Go 15-1. Their only loss, I know, Adam K, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Blah, blah, blah. Roll through the playoffs. Beat those Giants, like I said, 21-10. Those Parcells Giants are in the ascent, as well as the Bears, who are a year away. But this was not their year. Niners shut them out 23-0. And then it's a short ride down to the peninsula. To Palo Alto, Stanford Stadium, the Niners Super Bowl 19 against the Miami Dolphins. Remember how sexy the Dolphins were? but you knew they didn't have defense. You need a defense to win. But they had Marino, first quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards. What was his number? 5,084 in his second pro season. Oh my God. He had a chip on his shoulder when those drug rumors flew in the 83 draft. When he came out, man, that dude was like fired up. 48 touchdowns. Everyone's like, oh, I'm coming to see the Miami offense. But it was actually the Niners offense. Joe Montana wins his second straight MVP. Do you remember the cover? I'm going to show it to you. Let's take a look at the cover. Oh, there it is. The Niners nail them. 38-16, Super Bowl 19. Is it Roger Craig hammers the Dolphins, running that high-stepping Roger Craig style in for the first touchdown. What an awesome memory. I want to show you a card because part of this is sports cards. Here's Roger Craig's rookie card, 1984 Topps. I love this set. This is, to me, is the most 80s of Topps football sets in the 1980s. Got that white border. It's got the color inside with the angled stripe in one corner. Niners, was that yellow? And then black across the bottom. 49ers, super 80s design. This is to me, I don't know, maybe this guy bought a ton of cars. They're like pack pulling Marinos and Eric Dickersons and Elway and Roger Craig. This one, though, I got a nice one, a PSA 9. All right, Niners, crush it. Super Bowl champions. 10 Niners make the Pro Bowl. 9 are all pro. They are at the NFL's 100th anniversary. They are named the 4th greatest team in NFL history. 1984 Niners, 78 Steelers are named number 3 all time. No argument there. That's an epic team. Number 2 all-time, 1985 Chicago Bears. They were a beloved team. They were an iconic team. Definitely a unicorn one of one team. It's real hard for me to say, though, that they were better than those 84 Niners or the 78 Steelers because their offense was subpar. Their defense, best defense of all time. No argument. It was insane. That was like video game insane. 2000 Raven defense, also phenomenal, great defense, but best defense I ever saw, 85 Chicago Bears. Number 1 all-time team in the NFL history is, and deservedly so, 1972 Miami Dolphins. 14-0 regular season, run the table in the playoffs, the only undefeated in the history of the NFL. Just like that, man, like Proust's Madeleine, just some dude in the stands at a baseball game yells, "Go Niners!" And I'm back there in time. Man, remember those days when you just got to watch football and think about football and talk about football with your friends, and life was just simple, just living for those Sundays. West Coast time, got that 10 a.m., 1 p.m. start time. I've been on the East Coast a long time. Cincinnati, Atlanta, now Alexandria, Virginia, and no way, man. West Coast times. West are the best times. 10-1 versus 1-4. Sorry, I miss that. I think I miss sports starting times most of all. Second most, I miss my family. Just kidding. Okay, last story about the 84 Super Bowl. My dad is a super fan, Stenell. He took a sheet and wrote, "Go Niners," and nailed it to the front of the house. Like, pulled it across the house, nailed it up, this big sheet, "Go Niners," which is amazing. You know, 13-year-old, 14-year-old me, I was 14 this time, loved it, I am sure. You know who didn't love it? Rosie Spinrad, his wife, our mom. Because Knucklehead Stenell, instead of taking some old sheet that we would take to Camp Mendocino or something, he took a sheet from their sheets. And Rosie didn't like scratchy, man. Rosie has sensitive skin, man. So it was like Egyptian cotton, 400 thread count. He's like nailed to the wall. And then 2 years later, I'm a junior in high school. We're playing in the Oakland Coliseum for the championship. And what does he do? He does it again. He takes another sheet, nails it up. I remember driving by in the team bus on the way to the Collie and seeing it. For Dad, you were a legend for doing that, man. Not with Rosie, but for adolescence of Marin for all time. So, full count to Parrish. We're back to the game. Swing and a miss struck him out. There are now 2 away. Brings up Chet Lemon. They're making small talk in the booth about Chet Lemon, about how he's really coming on as a player, one of those guys who might not get all the attention, but look at him here in the All-Star game again. And then Howard says something that wouldn't have caught my attention then, but certainly catches my attention now. He's talking about Chet Lemon representing the American League at the commissioner's luncheon that afternoon. And he says, and he just spoke beautifully. See, here's the thing. It's not a good idea to tell a black man that he's articulate. And that was kind of what was underneath that. There was astonishment, and there was a sort of like a bragging on him kind of thing, as if that was unusual, as if a black person being articulate is something that is worth mentioning. There's a lot of bias in that, man. A lot of stereotype in there. Oh man, Howard. By the time Howard says about Alvin Garrett on Monday Night Football, look at that little monkey go. It just couldn't have been the first thing. It's just the first thing that our consciousness back then really understood. But raising up a black man for being articulate is a no-no. All right. I'm preaching. Sorry. 2-1 pitch to Lemon, and hits this great little blooper where it's right in between Sandberg and Strawberry, and Murphy drops in for a base hit, 2-out single, brings up Dave Stieb. Dave Stieb, AL starting pitcher. Weird thing though, man. It's DH. Guy never swings a bat, never takes BP, and he stands there like an old guy. Even though he's not an old guy, he's holding it. Just doesn't look stout. Doesn't inspire confidence, Steve, at the plate. He's got these black batting gloves like they're Porsche Carrera driving gloves or something. And before Lee can ever deliver the first pitch, he steps off, keeps Lemon close. Kind of weird. Just strike out Dave Steve. What are you throwing over? Strike 1 to Steve. Garvey comes over and says something to Lee. I don't know what it is. Goes back, starts holding him again. 0-1 pitch, throws over. Lemon dives back in, safe. Lee back on the rubber, makes a quick throw this time and picks off Chet Lemon. Unbelievable. You can see Lemon has his weight in his right foot. Whatever Garvey said, it was good information. And he and Lee pick off Lemon. Umpire comes flying in to call him out. I love a good pickoff. End of the inning. A run for the American League. After 1.5, we're tied at 1. All right. I think it's a good time as any to stop. What did we talk about tonight? Well, we talked about how that June is the Friday night of the summer weekend. We talked about the sweet swing of George Brett, and that sweetness has a lot to do with the hips pivoting and already being in position to run. Talked about Charlie Lau. We talked about Max Dugan's return. We talked about colorectal health, my friends. It's no laughing matter. Took a bite of a Madeleine and went all the way back down with the Go Niners. Back to 83, 84. My personal favorite of all the 49ers team, those 84 Niners. Talked about why it's not a good idea to compliment a black man on being articulate. I think it's a good place to end. I think we should come back on Monday and do this again. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend. To my Jewish sisters and brothers, Shabbat Shalom. And to all y'all, may you enjoy and may you be blessed with health and long life. So long for now.